Hey guys, it's Carnage6 back again with another review. And this time we have two figures from NECA's Dead Space line. First off, we've got the Isaac Clarke figure from the original Dead Space. And we have a Necromorph slasher from NECA's Dead Space 2 figure line. First off, here's the packaging for the Isaac Clarke figure. Now, there are two versions of this figure as far as I know. One that he comes with a plasma cutter weapon, and one that he comes with a Ripper. I believe this is the Ripper one. And there's also a bloody version. I'm not sure if that's this one. I don't think it is, but I haven't seen the other version, so I don't know. And now here's the packaging for the Necromorph Slasher from Dead Space 2. So why don't we open these suckers up? So first off, let's talk about the Isaac Clarke figure. Now this figure looks amazing. I decided to go with the Dead Space 1 version. To me, it just looks way cooler than the Dead Space 2 version of Isaac Clarke. That's just me, a personal preference. But I do have to warn you about something. These first series NECA Dead Space Isaac Clarke figures have kind of disappeared. Last year I could find them all over eBay for about 10 bucks. Now I could barely find any with the first suit design from the first series. And when I did find them, they were going for about 40 bucks, so just be careful. The Dead Space 2 version of Isaac Clarke, there's still plenty of those out there, but if you are thinking about getting either one of them, it might be a good idea to pick one up when they're cheap. Alright, let's talk about Isaac's articulation. First off, his head goes all over the place. I think that's a ball joint, up and down, back and forth. His shoulder here, again, it's a ball joint, in and out, and rotates. There's a cut joint at the top of the arm here. The elbow bends. The hand just turns, but it does have the little motion tracker in there, you know, from the game, whenever you get lost. The waist, back and forth, and a little bit up and down motion. The legs are kind of interesting. They go in and out, and they do turn a bit. I can't get mine to turn, but I think it does. And the knee turns and bends, as you would expect. And the foot goes all over the place, too. So that's pretty cool. Now just look at the amazing detail on this figure. I mean, the paint, the sculpting, it's all top notch. I don't know if this is the bloody version, but he does have some blood spatter all over him. And here's a look at the back. Now there is one more thing I forgot to mention. He does have a light up feature, which is really cool. You just push this button on the back and his eyes light up, just like in the game. Well, maybe here I'll turn off the light so hopefully you can see it a bit better. See, that's pretty cool. And the other cool thing is that his back also lights up, you know, with the life, just like in the game. Now this version of Isaac comes with the Ripper weapon. As you can see, it's very well detailed. You got some blood stain on the blade, and you even got the individual hoses running up there. That's awesome. And there is another version that comes with just the plasma cutter, so whichever weapon is your preference, you can get the figure. I wish there was only one version of the figure and it came with both weapons, but we can't have everything, can we? And here he is holding the Ripper. So next up we have the Necromorph Slasher. And as you can tell, he looks just as gross and disgusting as he does in the game. Now the one thing I should mention is that he does come with a stand, and he does need it because his feet are so tiny that you're not going to be able to keep him standing up without it. Now let's show off all of his detail. Yeah, if you have a weak stomach or you just ate, you might want to skip this part. Anyway, as you can see, all the exposed bone and everything. He's got the claw weapons that he used to slash people. Yeah, it's just gross. So now for the articulation, and this guy features quite a bit. His head does not move back and forth, it only turns side to side. He does have ball joints in the shoulder, so you can kind of get on his arms going every which way. Here, it's only on the elbow, it's only a cut joint, so it'll only go one way, which is kind of disappointing. The hands here do feature quite a range of movement. Even the claw weapons he has coming out of him, they do have a bit of articulation. It kind of feels like they're on a ball joint because they can go forward and backwards as well as side to side. And there is no waist articulation because he doesn't really have much of a waist. But the funny thing is the little extra little hands popping out of his stomach, they do have articulation, and they're like on a ball joint, so that's pretty funny. His legs, again, just cut joints. They just go a certain way. His knee is, again, well, I'll use this one as an example. It's just a cut joint. It only goes one way, back and forth. And the feet, well, they go back and forth too. But since they're so tiny, you're not going to use the feet articulation very much because you're not going to be able to make him stand very much on his own without the use of that included stand here. Okay, and one thing I might have forgot to mention is that these limbs, just like in the game, if you know the game, you can kind of, well, you can choose where to shoot the guy. So if he's coming at you with these claws, you can like shoot off his arm, things like that. So they kind of replicated that here. You can take off his limbs. I'm not sure how many you can take off or where you can take off, but I found two. You can pop this one off and see it's kind of got a little bit of a bloody stump, so that's pretty neat. And on his leg, you can also remove that as well. So pretty cool and accurate to the game. So, all in all, these Dead Space figures are amazing. NECA always does a great job with their video game figures, and these Dead Space figures are no exception. So if you're a huge fan of the game, you've got to pick these things up. I don't really have any complaints about Isaac here. I think he's a perfect figure, pretty much. As perfect as we're going to get. I don't think another company's going to do a better job. I could be wrong, but you never know. I do have minor complaints about the Necromorph. Maybe they could have added a little bit more articulation to him. But that's really all. And I would have loved to have seen more Necromorphs besides him. Come on, NECA, you gotta give us more Necromorphs. We need more enemies. We got 1 billion versions of Isaac with a suit. Now give us something for him to fight, you know what I mean? Well, that's it for my NECA Dead Space review. I hope you guys liked it. And if you feel like it, post a comment below. Let me know what kind of figures you collect, video game or otherwise, and hey, what kind of figures do you want to see in NECA's next wave of Dead Space figures? Let me know. So that's all for now, and I'll see ya.